Good morning. My name is Delwin Jacoby. I'm one of the nurse practitioners at the University of Kentucky College of Medicine, Department of Pediatrics, and Division of Genetics and Metabolism. My presentation is entitled Beauty and the Beast, Fairy Tale, or Genetic-Based Condition. I have no conflict of interest nor financial interest regarding any portion or content within this presentation. Outcomes. Upon completion of the presentation, hopefully you'll be able to articulate the historical perspectives of Ambras syndrome, recognize the phenotype of Ambras syndrome, and critique a possible historical association of a genetic-based condition named Ambras syndrome with a well-known fairy tale. This is Innsbruck, Austria. It is located in the Alps in western Austria, and you may remember its name as being the home of the Olympics in the late 70s. I had an opportunity to visit here with my son earlier in this year, and this is a picture coming out of the area in which we stayed in an Airbnb in the city. This is a bridge covering or going over the River Enns, and this is just a beautiful picture of the city. The first morning that we had arrived there, my son said, "What would you like to do today?" And I said, "I don't know. I don't know anything about this city." I pulled out a little map and found that there was a castle south of the city, and I said, "I would like to go see the castle," having no idea the name of the castle or the distance or whatever, or how long it took to get there. So we took off and headed on a hike to the castle. This is a picture after we hiked up into the mountains to look down upon the city of Innsbruck, and you can see that the snow-covered Alps in the back with the ski slopes. And this is where our hike took us. It was about a 5 or 6 mile walk, and as we arrived there, there was a sign welcoming us that said Ambras Castle, home of Archduke Ferdinand II of Austria. It was an absolutely beautiful day, and this is the first sight we saw as we approached the castle. Unfortunately, we found out as soon as we arrived, they were posting signs that said museum and castle closed due to COVID-19 pandemic. So they were just putting up the signs, and they just had taken place, so we didn't have an opportunity to tour the castle nor the museum. However, Archduke Ferdinand II has extensive museum and artifacts and collectibles within his castle and museum there. We were not able to see any of these. However, we did spend time, as you can see in the foreground, beautiful gardens. There were beautiful sculptured gardens, and we walked through the gardens and went through trails in the woods surrounding the castle. And as we were leaving the beautiful gardens, I noticed this picture. And actually it was a mural painted on a wall. It was about 10-15 feet tall, and it was in a portico leaving the garden area. And what brought my attention to the picture was the gentleman in the middle, and I noticed he had significant hair growth to his facial area. And I asked my son to take a picture of this mural. And I focused in on this gentleman and noticed that his hands appeared to be normal. However, he has significant hair growth to his face. And I thought, what in the world is this? So the question is, who is this gentleman, and why is his picture at Ambras Castle in Innsbruck, Austria? So for the next day to day and a half, every time we took a break or sat down, I was doing a literature review, or should we say a Google search on my phone, to figure out who this person was, and found out that this gentleman is named Petrus Gonçalves, or formerly known as Pedro Gonzalez. Historical Literature Review found that Petrus Gonçalves, who was born by the name of Pedro Gonzalez, was discovered in the Canary Islands, which is off the coast of Spain, and he was born in 1537. He was found to have significant hair growth on most of his body and face, and thought to be a, quote, wild boy. As was done in that time in Renaissance Europe, he was gifted to King Henry II of France, who collected, quote, oddities. To this day, we would think this was absolutely horrendous and totally unacceptable. However, this was something that was quite common during the Renaissance period, especially among the royalty. So as a child, he was gifted to the King of France, and however, he was not a wild boy at all. He was quite intelligent and became well educated, and he learned multiple languages, and he was so well accepted within the royalty that he became a member of the royal court in France. King Henry II was married to Catherine de' Medici, and anyone who has studied European history, particularly European Renaissance history, knows the de' Medici family was a very influential family from Florence, Italy. And Catherine was married to Henry II. When Henry II died, Catherine took the throne for a short period of time. And in doing so, she arranged a marriage between Petrus and a beautiful woman named Catherine. Catherine happened to be the daughter of one of the servants within the royal family. The couple fell in love and had 7 children. Reportedly, 4 of the 7 had extensive hair growth. Some of the literature reports 3 of the children, but somewhere between 3 and 4 of the children had extensive hair growth. And as I mentioned earlier, which would be totally unacceptable today, however, in Renaissance Europe, the royalty had many collectibles and collected oddities, and so portraits of this family were dispensed among the royalty throughout Europe during the Renaissance, and thus explains the discovery of this portrait on the wall, and official portrait is among the art collection of Prince Archduke Ferdinand II in the museum there at Ambras Castle. So these are some of the other portraits, and I downloaded these, and was not able to see these, but many of them are within the castle there at Ambras in the museum. And as you can see here, here's Petrus with his wife Catherine. Here's his family in another portrait. This is one of his daughters and evidently one of his sons. And this is a very famous picture that is in many places throughout Europe of one of his daughters as well. So let's switch gears here and let's talk about Ambras syndrome. The official name for it is hypertrichosis universalis congenita Ambras type, and it's associated with excessive hair growth on areas that are not likely to have hair growth, but this hair growth is not associated with androgenic type changes. Hair growth associated with androgenic type changes is called hirsutism. The cytogenic location is chromosome 8q22, and the chromosomal abnormality is a paracentric inversion. The condition is inherited in an autosomal dominant fashion. Ballmaster in 1993 entitled the condition Ambras syndrome, based on the first documented case seen in family portraits that are still on display at the Ambras Castle near Innsbruck, Austria. So the phenotype of Ambras syndrome. Persistent generalized hypertrichosis, it's the long fine hair, which is vellus type hair. It's generally seen on the face, ears, shoulders. However, it generally spares only the palms and soles, which generally is the whole body, as you can see in the young man here. Accompanying this are usually some unusual facial features: a wide flat nose, at times hypertelorism. The face generally can be triangular shaped. Many of the reported cases have gum hyperplasia and dental abnormalities, which give credit to the presentation with almost like a fang-like appearance in some of the patients. And much of the literature regarding this syndrome is found within the dental publications. There can be a likely variable phenotype. So let's switch gears here and talk about Beauty and the Beast. This is the original, one of the original books of Beauty and the Beast. But this is a fairy tale. We all know about it. We heard it growing up. We've seen it in the movies. But it's about a beautiful woman who falls in love with a, quote, beast. It was written in 1740 by a French novelist who lived in Paris named Gabrielle Suzanne Barbeau de Villeneuve. It's reportedly based on actual historical events, and you can see scattered throughout the literature references to this particular idea. So, here's the question. Here is Petrus Gonzalez. Here is Catherine, his wife. Here's modern day Beauty and the Beast. There's somewhat some similarities here, and it's kind of strikingly coincidental that they both appear such as this. So the question is, a genetic condition, a fairy tale? So, Beauty and the Beast, is it a fairy tale? Is it a genetic condition? Is a fairy tale based on a genetic condition? Is it a genetic condition based on a fairy tale? Or is it both? And that's for you to decide. Here's the reference list for the presentation today. And as you can see, there are many references, including from the popular literature, as well as fairy tale literature, as well as historical literature, and as well as genetics-based literature and healthcare journals and references. I hope you enjoyed this presentation as much as I enjoyed investigating the etiology of this particular syndrome and the historical background of this particular syndrome, and hope you get an opportunity to go to Ambras Castle, and please look for Petrus and his wife Catherine there as you go. Thank you very much.